Steiny and Guru joined by Willard and Dibs. 95.7 The Game. 149 in the Bay. Remember he used to do that, right?
Wow.
Chad Doing.
Oh,
my God. Our old PD insisted that he do time checks.
Okay.
So he was doing mornings, and he'd be like, it's 6:49 here.
In 10 minutes.
I never knew it was insisted.
In 10 minutes,
That's what we did up north,
I'll put two fingers on my right side of my headset and go do. And you can read
that's the chime.
Yeah, you can read the top of the hour news if you want, Steiny.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
Trouble in Israel. I'm Matt Steinmetz.
That's right.
That's what you want.
Well, here's the more trouble in Israel. Notice I stopped short.
Or Chase Center.
Yeah. Normally, I won't ask you to have you listened to the show. I'm going to just tell you.
Of course we have.
I felt like the Warriors, from effort standpoint, we have not seen what transpired last night. That's just me. Am I by myself? That effort was garbo last night from the Warriors.
Yeah.
So I'm nervous about something really might be going. Willard, that was a no-show with Joe Lacob watching everything. I couldn't believe what I saw.
I never know chicken or the egg on the whole effort thing. It's like if you play terrible, you look like you're not trying. But I don't know.
And when you're not trying, you play terrible.
You play terrible. But maybe you just played terrible. Maybe you tried, and you stink.
Because you beat Detroit by 4.
Right.
That was a bar.
Let's not act like they've looked good, quite frankly, at all for the last 3-4 weeks. They really
So where are we going?
Well, they're 11-17 since their 6-2 start.
Yeah.
That's...
No, they're not. Look, Jonathan Kuminga and Andrew Wiggins can't play together.
I'll never echo those words again.
They gave it a shot last night because they used the weekend with 2 weak opponents coming in to check on some things. Kuminga went sideways. They gave him a game-high minutes against the Pistons. He scored 11 points. And then the next night, they're like, all right, can you and Andrew play together? And they found themselves in such a hole against the Toronto flipping Raptors that they couldn't climb out of it, and they scored 133 points. You're getting answers. They're looking for answers. We're getting answers. They're not good. They're not the answers you want.
Man.
And my belief is you got to pull the plug, Goo.
And what does that look like?
Yeah, exactly. On whom?
Everybody agrees with that. The problem is everyone's got a different plug.
No. I don't think everybody does agree. But I think, I'm just off the top of my head, I got to let Chris Paul and Clay go. I just got to this is just an idea. Just thought of it.
But that's
just an idea.
That's at the end of the year.
There is no quick fix. So if
February 8th.
There is no quick fix.
Yeah. Okay. So you're talking about at the end of the year.
What I would like to do is either by the trade deadline or at some point in the offseason, get off Draymond Green or Wiggins. One of those two guys. Okay, so there's Pascal Siakam out there. Could you theoretically give up either Green or Wiggins and a couple of your young guys for Siakam?
Define couple of your young guys.
Ideally not Kuminga.
Okay.
But if it's Kuminga, ideally it's not Kuminga, but let's say it's Pods and Moody. Pods, Moody, and Wiggins or something like that. Or Pods, Moody, and Green. I don't know why they'd want Green, but whatever. So you do that. So then you let Paul walk. My point is then you have two guys under contract for big money, Curry and Draymond, all right? And then you got Peyton's 9, and at that point I want to see the numbers and see, could we go get Paul George? Because we don't, everybody else is off if you can move a contract.
If you're rebooting, why do you want Paul George?
Because he could help you win a title right this second with Steph Curry.
You think?
No, I don't.
Okay,
but
and I knew
I'd like to see it.
I'd drive it.
But I might do it.
26 minutes ago, you were in favor of trading Steph. I was pulling up.
No, I'm not in favor of trading Steph yet. But I think we're naive to think that Steph might not say, "Hey guys,
at age 35,
what are we doing here?
What's he doing?"
Well,
you know what I mean?
What is he going to go quietly into that good night?
I don't know.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Does Steph Curry?
Yeah, it's from Back to School, though. He made it famous. Nobody's heard of Yates until Rodney delivered it on Back to School.
Check.
You're welcome.
I don't even think it was Yates. I think it might have been Whitman.
It was Yates.
Respect.
That's a 3.
That's a 2.
But he gets the 3 for the effort out of nowhere.
Yep.
I'm a little bitter because he gave me a 1 earlier and I deserve a 4.
I'll give him an 8 for trying. Like, I don't even care.
I think it was Yates, by the way. Yeah. Whitman was that guy with the pond. Yeah, exactly.
But what have you seen from Steph? You concerned? Like, I can honestly say,
concerned about Steph?
Yeah, something just looks like not disinterest. It could be something's off. I don't know.
Well, I think that it's not disinterest. It's the reality check of knowing where you are with this team. And when Draymond comes back, maybe it's a little bit of a shot to the system, and he'll be back, hopefully this week.
He almost retired.
Yeah, and I was actually listening to the podcast on the walk over from the old building, and man, and this is hard for me to say because I've been the biggest Draymond critic on the station, but I do think that he has seen the light. I've never heard Draymond like this, and I encourage everyone to go to his podcast and hear him say the words. It's easy to read it, and you hear bites, and we're going to play some sound bites. When you hear the whole thing and you hear him apologize repeatedly, every other sentence he's talking about, who he's sorry for. And by the way, fans, sorry, he's not sorry for you. He apologizes to everyone but the fans, which is fine. But I've never heard Draymond the way I heard Draymond today, and I am fascinated to hear the final 20 minutes. And he talked about Kevin Durant and what KD said, how he's totally different from 2017, and Draymond's initial reaction was basically blank you, KD, and then he sat with it for a minute, and he's like, you know what, KD? You're right. I have changed, and I need to change. I need to be better. I've never heard Draymond speak the way he spoke in terms of his own self-awareness. Now, I know the proof is in the pudding, and he has to go out there and show it and prove it, but I've never heard Draymond talk the way he talked in this pod. Never.
Well, I haven't listened to the entire pod, so I'm not going to rob him of being sincere.
You can.
I wouldn't, though. I heard we played Crying with Steve Kerr, but we also played the Durant.
Yep.
And the Durant thing, even if you're cynical, you got to be a real jerk to listen to that and be like, what a tool.
Yeah, that's the one that hit us.
I mean, that's
help is not bad.
At the same. But
and he talks about his life in Saginaw where, and when people would say then, you need help, but there was no help. So you're trained growing up in Saginaw as a 15-year-old. He talked about, back then there was no help. So you were right. I guess, programmed to see help as weakness. Yeah. And those are my words, not his, but he basically says that you didn't get help back then because there was no help. And he actually said in his pod, I'd be an idiot not to take the resources that I have and try to make myself better. So, I mean, I've never been a big-time Draymond guy in terms of his words, but these words, they hit me, Goo.
Well, and
cardiac.
I'll completely give him that and be open to that's the guy will get full-time. I mean, I still then say, okay, where are we as a basketball team, ladies and gentlemen? And that's the part that I don't see dramatically changes for the Warriors. That's all. I think they're a 500 team with or without him, maybe a little below with him or without him and a little above with him, but I don't know that they're discernibly, they can get to the second round with him. I don't believe that anymore. But if he can be productive, well, then he becomes one less problem than they have.
Right. And right now they have about 6 problems, including Chris Paul. But can you find a way to trade Chris Paul, even though he's hurt at the deadline? I mean, is that contract as an expiring attractive to a team?
That's a good question.
Thank you. That counts.
Not even close.
If you're Toronto, it would be attractive. If you're trying to just start over and get up, I mean, man.
You take a 30-game rental of Chris Paul, and then, he's gone at the end of the year, and you can use that salary slot. Maybe it's Chris Paul and Moses Moody in a future pick.
Willard, I told Dibs.
For Siakam.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
I thought, Chris Paul.
I didn't realize you were talking right now, but
I wasn't in on the acquisition, and I thought it would be a lower extremity, like a hammy, ankle, a foot. This hand injury, I'm telling Steiny, and he was just starting to hit from 3. I didn't see his hand get caught in the jersey and fracturing. That wasn't the old I saw. I thought it was going to be something on the leg.
I read from
but that hurts.
Is this true? And I read this from Woj over the weekend that he's had 5 left-hand surgeries and 4 right-hand surgeries.
So who would have thought it then?
9
You're not a
hand
boxer.
surgeries.
Damn. My goodness.
And those things are a degeneration sensation.
That's a
believe
buck.
me. Believe me. So yeah, those I mean, Aaron.
Guru going to
Aaron's-
the hand right
Yeah,
now.
Aaron's career ended. My buddy who was on the
Overholser.
PGA,
Yeah,
his
yeah.
career basically ended because of a broken bone in the
Give it to
hand.
him.
Byron Nelson
Thank
in
you.
the rough went after it a little bit too hard, broke a bone in the hand, and
Sounds like you're playing Clue.
one bone led to another. It was a chain link fence that ended his career.
The
basically.
fix.
And so,
One bone
yeah,
leads
like
to
this is that's
That's a 4.
that's completely how it goes. And of course you didn't see it coming, but we saw
right.
coming what we didn't see coming. Like that's what happens.
You'll be without his services.
Yeah. So
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco, always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
I wonder if we're trying to solve a puzzle that is unsolvable.
The
Right.
Warriors?
Well, here's what I mean by
ahead.
that.
Oh.
You don't get to compete for a title every year. That's not how it works. And fan bases that go on an extended run of getting to do that, they forget that sometimes. It's funny that can even happen here. These are fans that lived through the Cohen era. You don't get to do it every year. But what happens is when then it starts to fall apart is we go, okay, how do we squeeze the orange one more time? Or how do we regenerate this really quickly? You don't, right? Like I watched the Kobe and Shaq Lakers go through that period when Powell was not there yet, and they just flat out sucked. Boston goes through years where they stink. Philly stink. Golden State is going to go through some stink. And by the way,
I hope we're not there yet, Mark.
no, I don't
Shouldn't
think.
be
I
there.
don't think we're there.
That's exactly.
We're not there yet. But the idea of a tweak at the deadline, or let's get some money in the offseason, and here comes Paul George or Tyrese Maxey, and now you're a title contender. Probably not. Like, quite frankly, the quicker way might be, let's see if you can. It's fine if you want to tweak at the deadline. Let's see if you can be a playoff team and ride the Steph, Clay, Dre era out. And if you have really crappy lottery years at the end, great. And a lottery pick now, because that's how you do it.
They blew the one they had with Wiseman.
The more
Well, they've
I
had
watch,
3.
and that's a concern. Obviously, watching their draft picks continually not work out, I'm sure the organization is concerned in reviewing that. But the more I listen and the more I watch what's going on, I'm one of these Warrior fans, and I know that this does not speak for everybody, but to me, I want to see every single last drop of Steph, Clay, and Dre.
Wow.
And whatever that is, I'm ready for it. I want them to
I think we're closer to that now than we've ever been.
I think it's what they want. It's what I want. I know that I do speak for some fans. If it stinks and if it's ugly at times, I'm ready for that. I want those 3 to end their career here, and I'll take whatever comes with
At
that.
the expense of Jonathan Kuminga?
Well, quite frankly, I love that you said it that way, because that's exactly the best way to, yes,
All right.
at the expense of Jordan Kuminga.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, when I look at those players, are they pieces? Yes, but they're not the dude.
Yeah. I asked
Listen,
Steiny
I
because JK
there's
beat
not-
Tatum. I know it's the crystal
No.
ball, but if he can't, then you got to say night-night.
There's not a title waiting on the back end because you hung in there with Kuminga. He's a player.
Yeah.
He's a nice player, and I hope he's a Warrior for a long time. But that's not it. That's not it by itself at all.
I mean, the idea that the Warriors Joe Lacob built a dynasty is just unbelievable. It's one of 6 in the history of the NBA. The price of you pay for a dynasty is usually you have 3 to 5 years where you don't make the playoffs or you don't have a lot of success. Sometimes it changes when you get a break, like the San Antonio Spurs did when they drafted Kawhi and Earl. They had their chance with the 2 picks. The question I have is it's going to be just as unlikely for the Warriors to not have some bad years here than the dynasty itself. You know what I mean? Like, part of the deal with having a dynasty is you're probably going to have 3 years where you ain't making the playoffs. No matter how, and that's the one thing that I'm starting to realize, you know what? Resign Poole, don't resign Poole. It's what inevitably was happening anyway.
But those 3 years weren't supposed to start this year. This year was supposed to be, you're still a threat. Next year was, you're still a threat, but it's fading. And then the third year after that was, okay, now we're ready for 3 years of the downside. But the downside came faster, I think, faster than I thought. And that's what makes it a little bit tougher to be able to say what you're saying, Steiny, which, of course, when dynasties end, they end and you go through the downtime, and hopefully if you're good, you get back to it. It wasn't supposed to start this year.
But the jury's still out on that, like, potentially?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
And when I say that, I don't mean contending for a championship. I don't think that it's not decided that they're missing the playoffs yet.
If I put the over,
that's not decided.
If I put the over under at a half a round of the playoffs that they win,
and you're not talking about the play-in.
They make the playoffs and win 2 games.
No, they make the playoffs and they win a round. You got to win a round.
No.
Like, I'm not done with
chance.
that, Dibs. I'm not.
I'm saying no chance for effect. I would bet against that.
Right, you would bet against.
That would be the favorite right now.
Yeah.
I'd argue.
Is the bet against?
Yes,
of course. Because they're the 11 seed.
But
still, right?
I don't think it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Out of the
betting
realm.
that they get a one round.
A 1 seed?
Yeah.
You bet they get the 1 seed?
No,
I'll take the field.
Hey,
how are you guys doing on your bets? Because like the Warriors road record.
That's an L. But my Sacramento looking, I'm on target.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've won 1, and the other's a toss-up, right?
Willard, I heard
road
y'all wanted to hear that day.
7 and
What
10
made
or
Guru
something.
take that road? The disdain in your voice was like, was he high?
No.
What do you think about this?
Matty took advantage of you.
Yes, I did.
You're an emotional person.
We were at the bar.
You get caught. It's what we love about you. You get caught up in the moment.
Oh, boy.
And,
Steiny, I got him at 24 and 8 on
they
the
beat
road.
Boston or something the night before. You're like, I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win 4 more in a row. I think they're going to win 4 in a row.
I think that the Warriors, after 2019, they kind of thought that the downfall was going to happen pretty quickly. With not in 1 or 2 years, but I think they were like, now we can see the end of the dynasty.
Maybe, although you know what that comment leads to, and I hate it when I've heard a lot of people call our shows and say this. Oh, the championship 20 months ago was the worst thing.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Oh, man.
No. It's the best thing. It is absolutely the only thing that you're going for. And if it means you get whacked in the face for a few years on the back end, sign me up. Don't ever say that was a bad thing. That title happened. I know what you mean, though.
But what I mean is in 19, they lost Durant and they lost Clay, and I think they were like, oh my God, this thing could end pretty quickly. And so, but not like we got to go get veterans now. But they're like, this thing could be happening quickly. Let's go get Kuminga and Wiseman, these projects. Okay, then the Warriors won it, and it surprised everybody, including their front office. And now they thought, well, geez, we thought the dynasty was coming to an end and it might happen quickly. Guess what? It actually may go on a little longer. But now it's happening more quickly than they thought. It's happening as quickly as they thought it was going to happen the first time, when they didn't realize they actually had 3 to 5 more years.
Which is probably why they want to keep Kuminga. Because the whole narrative with Wiseman was, we'd love to develop him, but we don't have time because we're trying to win.
And they started
him. So if they settle more with hey, this is not a title contending team, maybe they're more willing to ride Kuminga through whatever he's going to be, because, by the way, he shows more promise than Wiseman anyway.
Right.
But, Dibs, you got me thinking real quick here. The Warriors have had the number 2 pick, the number 7 pick, the number 14th pick. Right now, Kuminga looks like the most attractive. But if you're telling me he's not going to be, let's just say, a poor man's Paul George, I threw up Tatum. Oh, my gosh, the Warriors struck out. Those are, as it looks right now, 2, 7, and 14. And you could have got an Anthony Edwards impact. You could have got a Kawhi Leonard. If Kuminga's not that guy.
How could you have gotten Edwards impact?
No, not Edwards. The impact, like a good player.
But who?
James Wiseman could have had an Anthony Edwards impact.
No, but nobody in the draft did other than Halliburton,
right?
No,
yeah,
and LaMelo Ball. I'm just throwing.
But you can't blame the Warriors for being the number 2 pick in a terrible draft where there were no players.
Well, there were. Well, all right. LaMelo Ball on line one. You could have had LaMelo Ball.
But there's a big difference between Ball and Edwards.
When you picked Kuminga, who is it you wanted him to take instead, I think is the question.
Right. You can make up any name. The point is the impact of
Wagner.
Those picks could have you looking. Curry be like, yeah, I'm playing 28 minutes a night. I'm letting our attractive youngsters get it
Şengün.
and you struck out.
Well, Steiny mentioned when you go from one dynasty to another and then you hit on Kawhi Leonard and it helps you bridge that gap. And the Warriors missed. Wiseman was an air ball. And Kuminga he's a maybe right now. And I think Kuminga can be a great player, but it might not be till 2030. And if that's the case, then that's too late for this current win.
You know what? That's actually a great exercise. If you go, think about what would be the best situation that the Warriors could have found themselves in. Okay, well, honestly, you know what? It would have been drafting Halliburton too.
Oh, my God.
Or Ball. Okay, fine.
But I'm looking at
that's a stretch.
2021 draft right now.
Nothing.
What did you
Wagner.
Want? Okay.
But what I'm saying is,
he can play though, Willard.
Yeah, he can play. Yes.
Yeah. What I'm saying is,
but Kuminga can play a little bit.
He can, but what I'm saying is if you were sitting with Halliburton, Wagner right now, you you give me, let me look at, and Şengün, when was Şengün?
But Şengün,
but I get it. No, that's
impossible.
That's what I'm acknowledging. I'm acknowledging. Like, that is the definition of light years.
They missed on Şengün twice.
Yeah, well, you can't have Wagner and Şengün.
I did not want it to come across as though they missed.
Needs a big man. They missed out on Şengün.
I wanted to point out how unbelievably, ridiculously unrealistic it would have been to hit on the perfect guys where we'd be like, oh, my God, they're sitting pretty now. Like, that's unrealistic, too.
You think the guys are responding to Kerr or not? Like, is that fair now?
Which guys?
Just the majority of the team.
Steve.
A majority of the team. When they say that Bill Walsh, when you're one who plays for 10 years, Dibs, it's time to go. I'm asking. Last night that hurt me. Not the result, the effort.
I think that the young guys are on a yo-yo right now. The young guys are on a yo-yo. And so
you can't play on a yo-yo.
You can't play with my yo-yo. And he, so
shout out yo-yo.
So one day we're on Twitter and we've lost faith in Steve Kerr, and then the next night we have a conversation that goes well, and then you get 36 minutes and you score 11 points.
Oh, those are
and
facts.
so now I like Kerr. Well, but I don't know. My answer is sort of like, so what? So I don't know, man. That to me. Last night's embarrassing, but the night before, or Friday night, was almost equally as disappointing. The fact that you're messing around with Detroit with a minute to go in the game.
Minute 48, you're down one.
And Kuminga talks his way in to 36 minutes and scores 11.
Great floor game.
Just
Steve, still unsigned, and I hear Boston might be looking for a new head coach.
Well, hey, what did you get before you go? I know your bag's on the shoulder. Yeah. No, but I'm glad you brought it up.
Let's take it to 30.
What do you make of the night that Kuminga doesn't play in the fourth quarter? And this is Monty Poole's note, where Lacob showed up at Steve Kerr's press conference.
Seen Lacob
to listen to his answers.
I've seen Lacob do that infrequently. It's not like he does it. Doesn't like he doesn't do it every game. And if it's true, I could noted.
But what do you make of it?
It's noted. That's what I make of it. That clearly there's. I don't think there's any secret that there's a disconnect still with the older guys and the younger guys, and Lacob's pushing his guy or guys, and Kerr's
Willard a wow for me. It was a wow.
Disconnect between Lacob and Kerr?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, here's the thing about Kerr. To me, it's not that he took Moody out and he made a mistake that time, or Kuminga's minutes, he has appeared to lose some of his voice with the young players. And so now we got a decision to make. But to me, it's between now and the end of the year. It's not, we got to fire him now.
I also get why Bob Myers now works for the Commanders, though.
Dibs, that step up, right?
Well, I'm looking at
that post-game presser.
Yeah.
That was incredible. I thought it was fake.
I mean, when you see everything and you realize where Steve is in terms of his contract and what Steve said to us about how much he loves going to work every day and doing what he does, doesn't mean he loves it here. and he loves it only here.
Did you take it that way?
I'm taking it that way now.
Okay.
More and more, when I look at all the evidence around this situation, maybe Steve does want to follow the Bob blueprint. Because Bob wasn't unemployed for long now. He was unemployed for about an hour and a half.
Kerr wants to work for the Rams. They can work for the Rams.
We got to cut a spot. I just found.
Oh, you got to leave?
We just did it. It's a one-liner.
Yeah, it'll take you.
Those take
Still wants to
32
leave.
minutes.
How many? Yeah, how many?
Go.
How many tries until you get it right?
3.
Okay.
I'll take the over.
Willard, you're talking to the guy who can't get the legal right and was 6 years in.
It's a mental block. All right. Bye, guys.